Oh, the mistake, and McBreen's clean through on goal here to win it. What a miss from Daniel McBreen.
Fucking dog shit.
The A-Leagues are saved, everyone. Praise the football gods. We've got a Melbourne derby in the grand final. And, you know, fuck it, because who wants another fairy tale? After 2 years of the fucking Mariners, confirmation this year that there is no such thing as a happy ending. All right? You can think that it ended there for the Mariners, but it never does. It continues, and here we are today. So, look, everyone's saying the A-Leagues are saved because we've got this Melbourne derby for the first time in the history, in 20 years of the grand final. But this is just another step on the train, people. This is not the ending. There are no fairy tales. There are no football gods. And so I thought I'd start today with, if not a fairy tale, a quote that I was going to use a few weeks ago, but I think it's now more appropriate than ever. And it's from that Dr. Seuss book that I was telling you about, called The Places You'll Go. And this is especially this week for Auckland and Western United fans. But in a week's time, it's going to be for one of the other two Melbourne teams. And then at some point in next season, it's going to be for fucking everyone, because that's what football does. It takes, it gives, and then it takes away again. So, by Dr. Seuss, The Places You'll Go. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. There we go. Thank you, Dr. Seuss, for writing your kids' books with your limited vocabulary. You still managed to hit the nail on the head. So, people, just remember, while you've thrown out narrative A about the inaugural club with its fucking 30,000 in a football hotbed city going all the way to the grand final, throw out the other one with the PFA writing letters to the club, the players aren't getting paid, there's a takeover, much derided home ground for some. Grab narrative C for this week, people, which is a first ever Melbourne derby. My God, unbelievable. We've had the original rivalry narrative. We've had the big blue narrative. Now let's grab the Melbourne victory narrative. Everyone will tell you that it's fucking amazing for a week until next week. So look, that's where we're at. I'm not trying to sound negative. I'm just telling you that pragmatism in professional sport, and particularly in football, is the order of the day. The fans get all excited. The journalists try and ask players about the significance of the moment. The players don't give a shit. The coaches don't give a shit. They're just looking ahead to the next game. I know this as a journalist, asking these types of questions and just getting a footballer going, oh, fuck, how do I answer this? Or a coach trying to set you straight. Daniel McBreen, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and certainly one that's been here, done it all before. Surely you have to agree with that, Macca.
Nah, disagree with all of it.
Or is this magic? Is this magic?
This is what it was all meant to be. 2025, Melbourne derby. To be fair, I fucking couldn't believe that it was the first one after Melbourne victory being the most...
True.
What's the word? Winningest teams in finals, and Melbourne City being the benchmark, for the last, 4 of the last 5 years or whatever it's been. It's crazy that this is the first one that we've got, but it should be a good one. Hopefully it's a sellout. And look, if we go back to the very start of the season before a ball was kicked, I reckon most people had Sydney penciled in to be there. And I think if you looked at the squads, Auckland at the time, they were an unknown quantity, a new team coming in that assembled a squad that over time we realised was a pretty fucking good one. But at the time we weren't sure what was going on with them and how they were going to come together. When you looked at Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory, you knew they were going to be up there. They both got very good squads. They should be up around the top going for silverware. When PK walked away after 7 games and they went 6 games without a win with Arthur Dillis, you thought, oh, here we go. They've dropped their bundle, Melbourne Victory, and they're gone. They steadied the ship. And the first team to go from 5th into a grand final. They were the first team from 4th to go to a grand final as well, but didn't win that one.
Last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've got there. It hasn't been an easy ride for them, and either has it been for City. When you look back at their injury woes, particularly in the first half of the season, which has continued a little bit into the second half of the season, the fact that they've remained up there in second place with all the youngsters they've been playing, I think 33% of their minutes was by teenagers. It hasn't been an easy road for either club. So for them both to be there now and going over some pretty tough obstacles to get there, you've got to say hats off to them. And, yeah, Melbourne Derby, this is going to be pretty decent, I suppose.
Fucking unbelievable. It's going to be unreal. They've saved the A-League. APL must be licking their chops.
Well, look, we all thought Auckland, let's be honest, and we said it, Auckland will be in the grand final. They were just so good this year. They'd only lost 2 games. 3 games.
Exactly. So just very quickly, if we're getting into it, I agree. One thing in our defence of saying that it was going to be Auckland versus Western United. Well, you didn't say Western United. I said it was going to be Auckland, Western United. This was before the first leg.
You went
in
Western
our
United.
defence,
You said
or
Western
in my
United.
defence.
Hang on, Robbie. You said Western United because you shat on their ground and you thought, fuck, I better make up some ground here. Let the record show that was you shitting on their ground, not me.
Yeah, and look, I'm not shitting on their ground. Well, I am from a safety, a health and safety perspective, and also from a commentary perspective. But there's no problem with having a small ground if that's where you're at. Fine. My criticism was more club based as to you've got to put up with this for 15 years until your stadium is built, until there's a house around there. One thing I didn't mention was that there's no fibre internet in that place, and there won't be until the council has enough people trying to hook up to the fucking internet to warrant putting cable or fibre in there, an NBN or whatever you call it. And so it's very hard to do a TV broadcast where you're not connected to Sweet FA.
Yep.
So these were all the main elements of my criticism. But anyway, I take it all back. I love it. I love the place, and I love the club. And I think it's a real shame they didn't make the grand final. No. So my point was, that was before. We weren't saying Auckland, Western United shoe-ins after the first leg. It was before all that, when we were just talking shit. Because you can't predict who's going to go through 2-legged finals before both legs.
Well,
okay,
we
people?
predicted
So
Auckland.
pull your heads in.
We
Anyway,
both
the
predicted
second
Auckland.
point. Yeah. Well, Auckland and still. Melbourne City on your teenage kids. So I'm just looking at their starting 11. And I don't see a teenager within Cooey. Is Max Caputo still a teenager? Maybe 19. Big boy for 19.
Yeah.
But we're not going to see those kids again at Melbourne City.
They were the ones that helped them get there.
Yeah,
is what I
absolutely.
was
I'm
getting
just
at.
being,
Yeah, and if you're
I'm being facetious.
Of course you are. Fucking as per usual. Fucking
Exactly. Especially since I'm on holiday.
yeah.
So now I'm even more facetious than ever. Bit of housekeeping first in terms of facetiousness. Don't forget, don't subscribe, don't follow, don't like, don't fucking draw attention to all this shit. Just be in yoga, in the present moment. Listen, have a laugh, shout at your telephone, say we're full of shit. It's all fucking good. We are, you are, A-League football. That's why you're here. Macca, shall we get into it?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Melbourne Victory. Away in Auckland. Needed to turn around a 1-goal deficit from the first leg. Logan Rogerson with, and we were commentating that one, with a very easy goal that Melbourne Victory would be disappointed to concede, but Auckland did flex at Amy Park. It was a solid performance, one that we expected from them. They had their towels on the sideline, at least for the first 20 minutes. Didn't manage to take full advantage of that. But then at home, they did a little choke, didn't they? Because they were still first half, still looked solid enough, as though they were playing out for that scoreless draw that would see them through. But they didn't find that extra gear. And your Vestrada and your Gyagos, who were so good the week before, weren't quite as dominant. Guillermo Mai looked to me like he was injured. I know there was a lot of talk about it, but no pace, a couple of nice touches, but not the player that we'd seen, even him, a week before. Mm-hmm. And those sort of things can rock a team. Yes, Melbourne Victory were without Hamill. They had a one-legged Miranda back. I think Dillis said after the game that he hadn't trained either, basically all week. We saw him the week before. He looked like he was nowhere near playing the way he was limping. And they lost Velupale in the game as well, which could have ramifications for the Socceroos. But anyway, deflected goal, Mashash, 55th minute. Bruno Fornaroli doing Bruno things 5 minutes later. And a disallowed goal that got, just the right amount of Stevie Corica aggro post-match. I've seen another angle of that since then, that fan angle that everyone is now... that everyone is now saying, it was in, goal should have stood, to now everyone's saying, it clearly went out. Look, who the fuck knows? Probably some Kiwi's got a different angle right on the line that's going to show that it's even a lot closer than that. It doesn't matter. The decision was made by the Lions person on that far side. Ball went out of play. That's the decision. There were no other cameras to contradict it.
This is the
with
thing,
VAR.
right?
So
VAR, we've all bemoaned VAR for so long. All right. And then we bemoaned that they get involved too often. And we fucking whinged about why can't we just have the referees make decisions. Then we whinged that they got in it, when they made the decisions, they were still needlessly jumping in and getting to look at stuff. Now we've got to a point where they're trying to not get VAR involved as much as possible. And I'll be honest, my first reaction was it looked like it bent out. Now, the linesman's right there on the fucking line and he puts his flag up straight away. As the ball goes in the net, his flag goes up. So he's gone, yep, that's bent out, and he's the one with the best view.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think there was a camera angle that we saw anyway, until you see the fan footage one later, that was very conclusive to say that ball stayed in. So we go back to the on-field decision, which was the ball was out, that's what everybody has fucking complained about. So he's there, he's seen it go out and bend back in, and he's called. Now, if it was to be overturned there, now everyone would be going, fuck me, he was in line. Why are we going on to VAR when the angle's not clear? He's fucking there. I still think it went out, in my opinion. Steve Corica has a different opinion, and he did say it's my opinion it went out. To stand there and then say it's a disgrace, I'm sorry, Stevie, I don't agree with that. I think there's not enough evidence to overturn the on-field decision, which is exactly what we've all been trying to say is if there's not enough evidence, go with the referees and let it get on with it. So I don't think you can hinge a whole game on that one moment. And we know that there are fine moments, like when you go back to the first leg and you look at the ball hitting the post in the last minute, but both posts and coming back out. Now, if that goes in, by a centimetre hits the post and goes in, could be a completely different story the second leg. But you look at that first leg, Melbourne Victory did not get a shot on target. And you were like, there's a reason why Auckland are heavy favourites to go through here, because they were ruthless in their defence. Vestrata, Gallegos in midfield, fuck me dead. They were unbelievable. They covered so much ground. Now, I'm going to point out that Sakai and De Vries, whenever the ball was central with Melbourne Victory, they would shoot out early and go out wide to Velupile and Arzani to stop them getting on the ball going forward, and weren't really concerned about balls over the top through the middle. They just sort of left the centre-backs to do that and cover that area.
Yeah.
I think that Victory saw that because right from the very start of the second game, they play balls in the channel and behind, and they do it very, very often. And I've watched the game again this morning. They did it a lot. And it was as though they were saying, well, go on, you want to jump out there early? We are going to put balls in behind. And because of the way they play, which everyone said at the start of the game, they're playing with the back three when they're in possession. They've fucking done that all year. Just because it was Santos on the left, everyone was like, well, no, because Casey Boss was pretty much playing as a left back, and you have your two midfielders go inside. Those two midfielders inside were making runs forward. And that was your Velupiles, your Arzanis, and Mashash. Now they've got some speed there. So now all of a sudden, do the fullbacks go, fuck, we've got to sit in a little bit because we can't have that ball going and Velupile with his pace running in behind. And I just think Valadon and Ryan Teague stepped up to the plate, especially Geordie Valadon. He was he was the Vestrada of the week before. He was everywhere. When the ball was given away, he was covering winning tackles. When he had to give a foul away, he gave a foul. When he got it, he played forward whenever he could. He was composed under pressure. And obviously he got his 2 assists in the second game. They were the subtle differences, and they come down to small things that you can see in a game that maybe they were now Auckland pushed back and felt like they couldn't get out because they were constantly turned and put on their back foot. And when they did clear that ball, it just came back again because Valadon in particular and Teague were there. And I think it was great play from Melbourne Victory to those subtle changes had a massive influence on the game. And then the fact that it did seem that Auckland, you were like, wow, they're just going to see this out 0-0. But as soon as they conceded, it was like you got to flick a switch now to try and go and get a goal, which they didn't look like they were going to get. And yes, okay, they would you say, Macca? Would you say that they're a little too one-dimensional? I found that to be very interesting call, to be honest. And I heard someone else say that it's a very good dimension if they are one-dimensional. They do it very, very well. They didn't really have anything going forward. And
well, this is why I said because of Guillermo Mai's looked injured. I think that was really hard for them.
Max Matter as well as a focal point. Okay, that's another thing that Bruno Fornaroli gave them victory. Is that fight and him to hold the ball up allowed them, even if he didn't bring it under control, he did enough to the defender to make the ball still go Victory's way or get them up the field. And that field position seemed to be always Victory on the front foot. And yes, all year, that's the one thing that we've always said, isn't it? That they haven't had that real. When Max Matter was there, they seemed to play different. And we had a conversation after the game last week with some staff from Auckland saying he is a big influence in the way they play. But we also said that they didn't have a 17-goal striker that at the time when you need them in one of these games is going to step up and bang 2 in. So all those things come together. Remarkable performance, I think, from Victory away from home. No one. We were all talking about, can the fairy tale happen in the other game with a comeback? No one fucking thought Victory were going to do this. We all thought that Auckland would just see it through and get it done.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. No, I didn't hear anyone talking about, Victory going to go over there. Only Victory people saying, we're going to go over there and overturn it. No one. It was just, Auckland, they've just been a machine. They've lost at home once all year and they've only lost twice to Western United. Fuck, somehow they lost to Perth. They're not going to lose at home. Yeah, job done. Well, fair credit to Melbourne Victory from 5th place.
Absolutely. I think over we talk a lot about, and we've commentated all the whole season. We've had 4-4s and 5-4s and 3-3s and some amazingly spectacular matches. But it is nice seeing a final that's tight where things are going to give on a little, I thought Auckland, I thoroughly enjoyed the 1-0 the week before for a good, physical, tactical, intense match of football. And I was thinking at halftime, probably Auckland, that now Melbourne Victory only have a quarter of this tie to try and get the goals they need, which they did, fair play to them. But it was still a really good half of football, still, the battles everywhere, physical. Yeah. And it's so, if we talk about not allegiances to clubs or the fact that this is our A-League and all this fucking narratives everywhere about how, peak the shit fucking out of it, A-League's awesome. This was good football. Yeah. And that was a great, almost a better advertisement for anything else that the league can show, that we can have two fucking pro teams going for it, tactically astute, playing good football. Yeah. It was 0-0 over 1 goal over 3/4 of the tie, 3 goals over the whole thing, but fucking good football. And I thought fair play, almost final before the final type scenario here in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it was great. And it also had the drama at the end, them coming, Auckland coming, and then Jack Duncan drops that one and you think, oh, they've fucking done it. They're just going to – and then Josh Rawlins just saw it all happening and got back on the line and cleared. And you saw 30,000 –
He had a great game.
He did. Yeah. They did. And this is the thing, we talk about Valadon playing a great game and the tactical – you don't overturn a game like that and win a game like that without your whole team playing great. And they fucking were. They were really good. But that moment that Josh Rawlins, he was the only one that saw it coming. And he just, as soon as he dropped in across, and because it looked like, oh, here we go. They're just tucking away and they're going to fucking do it again like they've done so many times. 30,000 Kiwis go up and then fucking sit down very quickly because Josh Rawlins had the presence of mind to just cover, just in case something happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And games are won at one end, but we always say championships are won at the other.
Yeah. So a quick word then before we move on. On Bruno Fornaroli going and celebrating with the fans, and then clearly he came out of that scrum with like marks on his face. He had shit in his eyes. I don't think he could see anything. He was using it I reckon he got beer and probably Canada Dry or whatever, all sorts of shit in his eyes in there. It was fucking classic Bruno. Well played, mate. That was quality. And how good for those away fans.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to talk to
That's the stuff
about what's it like reffing Bruno Fornaroli, because he fucking whinges to them.
Did you see Kingy at one point? Time. They were having a whole chat.
Yeah. And in the end, I think Kingy went, that's enough. Just fucking shut up. But everything, he wants to ask them for every single thing, and he's so passionate. I wonder if they're just like, oh, fuck, Bruno, will you just shut up?
We also know, because we also run into Kingy every now and again, that he loves a fucking chat as well.
He does, yeah. He revels. But look, we haven't even spoke about their goals, to be honest, the victories goals. Now, it starts with Geordie Valadon, the first with Mashash, wins the ball, plays it forward, and they keep dropping off. And like we say, sometimes you need a little bit of luck in games because of deflection.
But that's that's so much Mashash.
Yeah, driving forward.
All season, and something they didn't let him do.
Yeah.
They hadn't let him do that until this moment over 2 legs.
Yeah.
But they did. Yeah.
You get a little bit of a luck of the deflection. Fair enough. But the second goal, Bruno's goal, was fucking quality. And yes, you can sit here and look at the defenders and say, what are you doing? But just Geordie Valadon again gets the ball, faces forward. And Bruno, this is why we love him, because he just steps off the shoulder. He's sort of in an offside position, but he just steps back just to be enough in onside. And his body shape is side on, perfect, so he can see where it's coming from. He can take his touch forward, and it's perfect. It is a great ball played to the correct foot, so all he has to do is take that touch in his stride and put it away. It was some people thought it was a surprise that he started because they've flipped and flopped and where they're going to start, but I thought he was immense as well. And when he got his chance, he put it away.
Yeah, outstanding. I guess your man Virgos, I mean, we'll look ahead to the grand final briefly at the end, but who's gonna get the nod? Has to be Bruno, doesn't it? Out of contract, talk of Bruno going back to Perth, Bruno going somewhere else. There's all these rumors of players on the move. We'll see what happens. Be interesting if he finally gets that grand final win. Yeah, because Bruno's still looking for the grand final win, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, third highest ever goal scorer. Anything else to say? Well played, Auckland. Good season.
Yep.
Next year.
Yeah, they were great. On and off the park, everything was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlucky.
All right. I don't have a shatter stat this week. I forgot to hassle Stato for it, so fuck it. You got any stats?
You know I
Fuck
love
it.
stats, mate.
All right. I do. You do. You say you don't, but I know you love a stat. Everyone fucking loves a stat. What was the clue last week? I can't find it in my notes for the who the fuck am I? Do you remember?
No. But I do remember I got it. Mitch Nichols.
Ah, yes. That's it. Well done.
First one I've ever fucking known before we went on.
Well done. Well, there was a big clue in there at the end.
Yeah.
About getting done in a Sydney nightclub.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I've got a stat for you.
So, well done. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not what we've put it on air and everything anyway. Isn't it 20 victory wins in finals now? Is that the stat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most winningest team.
But Sydney have won one more grand final. So Sydney are more efficient.
Yeah.
I did see a stat preparing for the week before about penalty shootouts, which was interesting, which was across all comps. Victory have won 4 penalty shootouts and lost 4 penalty shootouts, whereas Sydney FC, I think, have won all of them. Like they've been in 5 and won all 5. Or is there a famous one they've missed? Maybe they've lost one shootout.
No, I can't remember them losing.
Did they lose they lost that cup shootout to the Mariners a couple of years ago, didn't they? That 3-3 game at Cogra, maybe.
They won that, didn't they?
Yes, they did because they went all the way to the final. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think they might be 100% in.
But they're not in the final, so who gives a fuck?
Exactly. Fuck it. Will they be next year? Let's start talking about that show. Okay, who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I? In a professional career that spanned 20 years and over 500 competitive matches in 11 countries, I won 4 league titles in 3 of them. I played alongside, in no particular order, Michael Essien, Wagner Love, Fernando Torres, Gianluigi Donnarumma, James Troisi, and Solomon Kalou. I was once voted Player of the Year in my homeland when I won the Asian Cup. Who the fuck am I? There we go. Probably an easy one. Maybe not. If you think you know, good on ya. All right.
If you think you know,
we will have the answer.
Sometime in the future.
Exactly. At some point in the future. We are planning at this stage to do an end of season show. We have to find actually a time because the plan was to do it maybe a bit of an end of season extravaganza, Macca, and get together and be in the same place with a couple of coldies. Don't know if that's going to happen now.
Well, you'd have to come to Newcastle. I've got a venue sorted if you want.
Head up to Newcastle just to fucking record a goodness out of our hearts podcast.
What's your care factor?
Fucking hell.
Not that high.
What's the venue?
It's a pub in Newey.
Ooh,
Who said he'd give us free drinks while we're doing it?
That sounds good.
It works out well.
Should we try and get a few heads together? The
team manager of my son's football team runs a brewery and
said pub. Okay.
They have a few venues that he said, well, you could always do one out of us and we'll give you a few beers. I said, all right, well, we'll see how we go.
All right.
I'm not now. I'm not giving many shout outs until we get the free beers.
No. Maybe we'll just pick up the beer and go. Anyway. All right. Well, look, this could happen. It has to happen, but It has to happen a weekday next week because I think I'm flying to Saudi on Saturday for the Socceroos, or maybe the Friday. And anyway, that's so you may find out the answer to who the fuck am I, and you may have one more podcast. But then again, you may not.
And you may not.
And maybe this one will just disappear into the ether. Second game. Melbourne City against Western United. This was always going to be tough for Western United. 3-0 down from the first leg. Well, we'll chat a little bit about that first. This was not a one-sided 3-0. And this was another good game. And you just see here the importance of taking your chances, really.
Yep.
Probably City a little bit more individual quality in the big moments. You know, your Leckie, Cohen, Tilio. It's fucking dangerous. Max Caputo, the kid, didn't get on the score sheet but put himself about. And, you know, Western United had their chances. Patrick Beach was probably outstanding in both legs, really. But Western United had their chance, particularly in that first leg. They really should have taken something from it. Ruse had an outstanding chance in the first half.
Yeah.
Ibasuki had a great chance in the second half as well where he brought the ball down.
And Matt Grimaldi had a header that he should have scored.
Matt Grimaldi's header, in the first half as well.
So,
and then in the second leg, go first leg.
Yeah, we've got to talk about the first leg because when you look at the first leg and you talk about the stats, all right, expected goals 1.45 each, 50% possession, 14 shots to 13, 4 shots each. It was touches in opposition boxes close. Everything seemed to be closest. You know, everything was tight. And you're right, it comes down to moments that taking your chances. If Ruse scores that early chance, and I think he had half a goal to aim for, but he just tried to smash it. And if he just passes in the far corner, he scored. Yeah. Matt Grimaldi, if he heads it with his forehead and not the crown of his head because he ducks his head and just lets it sort of almost hit him on the top of the head, there's another goal. So that's 2 goals when I think
he actually managed to take all the power out of it as well. Like somehow, if he just stood there and let it hit him on the head, but somehow doing that, he managed to almost cushion it.
Oh, no.
And it just looped up.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they were key moments because it was a tight game. And I think those key moments could have really changed it. I think Ruse, it was 0-0 when he had his chance. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Grimaldi, it was 1-0, so he could have equalised to make it 1-1. And then they don't take those chances and the game gets away from them because of in my opinion, there's a difference maker in the teams, and it's Marco Tilio. I think he's fucking phenomenal. I think when he's on, he's if he's not the best player in the league, he is so close to being the best player in the league. I think if he played all year, they could have been much more of a chance to be
closer to Auckland
as well. He is involved in everything. His corner, okay. I still don't understand why they had 4 people marking the zone in the front post area and left the back post with 3 City players. Angus Thurgate was standing there with a Ferreira just making a clear run at him, but the corner came
there was no one marking Ferreira, was there?
He just had a free run to jump over the top of you could probably have a look at talked about something and maybe he could have done better. It was close to goal. But yeah, you've got a free centre back who's powerful, free run over the top. Then Tilio picks up the ball and drives in for Cohen's goal, which brings the defence all narrow. Go and watch The Tactician. We did it on there. Also showed it on the show last week, this weekend as well. But they brings them all narrow, which creates a space. And yes, Jonathan Cohen's is a world-class finish, a world-class strike, but it's the movement from Tilio driving in central areas and bringing defences in. There was about 6 or 7 players drawn into that central area. And then it's his ball that goes over to the back post to Cohen when it's early, when Garuccio and Thurgate were both drawn across to defend. If he takes another touch, they get enough time to just get their positions a little bit better. They probably cut it out. But he gets it out his feet right from the byline, whips it to the back post, and then it's Cohen and Leckie. They can't get back in place. So Tilio for me.
A little bit lucky, but you know.
Yeah, but we said before, you've got to make a little bit of luck.
Exactly.
And if he doesn't put that ball in early, you don't get the chance to get the luck. So he was the difference, in my opinion, in the first game. And then you go into the second game, and it's a monumental challenge, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah. And again, they had chances, but if we thought the 3-0, well, if I say perhaps the 3-0 was not quite as one-sided as it looked, this one, I would say City probably deserved to win by more comfortably.
Yeah,
at one stage, certainly, at one stage in the first half when Tilio, like you say, I mean, you can talk about Tilio again in a sec, but it was him against
Tomoki
them all.
Was fucking like the Tasmanian devil spinning in circles because he didn't know whether to go short, drop deep, fucking go to the ball, drop off. He was having an absolute torrid, and we know how good of a player he is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And Tilio was just toying with him. And you're right. I think it was Patrick Beach made a great save from Abel Wallity at the near post. Big and strong, stayed up. He did the double save from the one that came back off the post from Riku Dunzaki. They're key moments again because that's in the first half. Yeah. They go in,
and that's it.
And then the aggregate changes to 3-1 or 3-2, and all of a sudden it's fucking squeaky bum time, and it could have changed the whole complexion of the thing. But as it was, for a game that was almost dead rubber at 4-1, it was still fucking feisty. They were flying into tackles. They were fucking getting stuck in. As his Bates ran 30 metres to get him for the challenge that he didn't like. So
it wasn't a great challenge, to be fair.
It wasn't.
From Benny Garuccio.
No, it wasn't. But I thought at that stage you're winning. You could just sort of not get yourself in any. But I thought maybe it was I asked him after the game, was it a ploy to wake your team back up, because that's when Western United seemed to be just starting to maybe get into a rhythm. Botic had scored a typical Nines goal, bust his ass to get into that 6-yard ball. And the two goals, very similar really, I suppose. They won the ball, both went down, played it wide, get the ball into the box. But
one-dimensional, simple football.
One-dimensional. It is a simple game. Just do one thing and it'll be right.
Exactly.
They were worthy winners, very worthy winners, Melbourne City.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought this was it's all set to be an excellent final, because both sides have actually showed they can defend as well. I mean, Melbourne Victory don't have such a reputation as a defensive side, but because they also had to deal with Guerrier leaving midway through the season. They've lost Hamill, but Jackson's come in. He's solid.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. So, they do know how to defend, and Teague and Valadon, like you said, and like you highlight, in front of them, get through a mountain of work. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Velupile. Yeah. When it first happened, it looked like it could have almost been an Achilles or something. The way it happened, it looked like a pulled calf or something in there as soon as it happened, because everyone's saying, oh, it's nothing, and all the crowd were booing. You could clearly see that something gave as he stepped off the foot. It looks painful. Let's hope it's not anything too serious, but it doesn't look great.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm just thinking about what you were talking about, the defenders there as well, that, Lockie Jackson came in, he wasn't match fit. I think since he's got match fit, he's been great. Josh and Sarah has been excellent.
He's been biding his time for a chance as well. Like he's had to wait. He made his debut last year, but only, I think, played just the one game maybe. But
he's been
has
very
come
good. Who would you say would be the favourites in this one?
Well, what I say generally comes back to bite me on the ass.
Yeah. I'm not asking you to say who's winning. I'm saying who's the favourite.
Well, who's favourite? City are favourites, I think.
You think they
City have
finished second?
More depth, more quality. They finished second, exactly. They are favourites, but having said that, Victory could do it, but Victory, more things have to go right than for City, I think. City have more certainties coming into this. Even if Victory pulled out that outstanding performance. How did the derbies go this year? The first one was 3-1 with that first 20 minutes, which was a massacre for poor old Patrick Beach.
Yeah.
But
And it
he's
was 2 draws.
improved. He's grown into the season. You know, he's a match winner now, almost on occasion. He can still also have that brain fade where he passes the ball to the striker 6 yards out.
Yeah. Well,
but-
it was 2-2 the last time they met.
Yeah, and that was with the Kai Truan pen, was it? Did he score a double,
Yeah.
Kai Truan?
No,
Yeah.
Tilio scored one, and then Truan. That says Tilio,
Okay.
but wasn't it Truan?
Oh, that's
Truan's-
that.
That was the.
No, what?
No, you're thinking of the West Sydney game.
I am. Yeah, exactly.
Tilio
Yeah.
scored. Truans did score a penalty. Mashash and Claris Mario Santos scored for
Okay.
victory just
Yeah.
before and after half time. And then before that, it was 1-1. And as we always say in the Melbourne derby, form goes out
Throw
the
the
window.
form book out the
Just-
window, yada, yada, yada.
So I don't know. Honestly, I obviously City are favourites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Leckie got 45 minutes again. So, but fucking hell, Victory can I could easily see Victory winning this.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, I guess Claris Mario Santos comes in. That's the obvious one for Volupele.
Yeah.
If they're going to change things up, or as you say, does Casey Boss come back and they move back to a flat back four? They're still going to. You're not going to touch. I thought it was funny that they suggested that Jordi Valadon was going to be at right back or whatever in their team thing. It's like you're never going to touch that midfield two.
No.
It would be insanity.
Yeah.
To
It's so good
to do that.
all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So, you know, they're there with, if Mashash still comes in and out of games. The first leg, he just disappeared in that second half again. Like after that first victory, were outstanding in that first half an hour and he was at the heart of everything and then still disappears. So they need him to really be consistent because he is a potential match winner. Bruno Santos will come in. Do they stick with this 3-4-3 or slightly variant that, you know, as you say, they've been more or less playing with all season, but it's just a question of personnel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether you bring Casey Boss back, it'll be interesting, but I don't think City will change. That's why I say I think City have certainties and City know, you know, Kuhn is outstanding. Tilio is outstanding. Cohen has that quality. Leckie is outstanding. I mean, you know, they're a solid team. They're a solid team. Ferreira is tough, true and outstanding.
Yeah.
You know, they're good. They're good.
They are.
All right. We're done? We got it?
Yeah.
Is that enough? You're frozen now. You're back.
Am I? No.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What are you saying?
I think-
Anything more to add?
No. Oh, it's going to be good. I'm going to be down there again in Melbourne again. And
Yeah. I'm sadly gonna be missing it. Well, I'll be watching from afar.
from afar.
From afar.
Well, enjoy that.
I will. That's going to be fucking shit hot. But I do feel bad about missing, you know, the first ever Melbourne derby in a grand final. I mean, I think we should move it to the G.
Well, there was talk about going to Marvel, but Amy Park will be here.
Marvel, I don't know. So I was away when Marvel was Melbourne Victory's ground, or when they were playing there and getting good crowds there. Is it a good ground? Because the last time I went there for the Tillies, the players on the far side, and again, this is from a commentator's whinge viewpoint, fucking hell, they're a long way from the crowd at Marvel. Like that, you really are a long way.
We played against them there once years ago, and I scored and I went to run to celebrate with the crowd, and I got fucking knackered before
Gave
I
up.
got to them, so I turned around and ran back because it was so far away. I think it's much better atmosphere. Sellout crowd, hopefully, right on top of your football venue, Amy Park. Either team win, it's going to be a fucking epic game. I'm really, Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I was disappointed, as I said, not to go to Auckland. It was something different. I thought, Auckland final, there's going to be 30,000 there, and it's something new.
Yeah.
But this is going to be epic. First derby, yeah.
And you got to earn it.
Looking forward to it.
You got to earn it.
Fucking hell.
Or in the end, Auckland didn't do enough. Outstanding, but you didn't do enough. There are no gifts.
That's finals football, Robbie.
In the world of football.
Finals football.
That's it. And that's what, those that embrace it, and Corica is one to embrace it as well. Like this will sting, and he will be fucking back more aggro than ever next year. But, Arthur Dillis makes no bones about the fact that this week our motto, what did he say? This week our motto was kill or be killed, fuck or be fucked, basically. And so they got to do the fucking business. That's it. Both teams. And it'll be the same for Aurelio and City, good stuff. I'm rambling.
We're rambling.
You don't want to ramble?
No.
All right, fuck it. See you, everyone. Don't forget, keep your mouth shut and your ears on. Listen, enjoy, and we may see you for one more this year, fucking.
Peace out,
maybe in a
brothers
pub in Newey.
and sisters.
All right. Well done,
See us.
people. Go the A-League.